2 videos ago, so about 2 weeks ago, I made a video discussing portable emulators I was excited to see released in 2022 potentially, and at the time I really didn't think I'd be getting a bad update from one of them so soon. So about 7 days after I uploaded my video on the 12th of January, someone posted this screenshot to Taki Udon's Discord, which has a lot of discourse. See what I did there? Surprisingly. The message reads, it seems like Niluangsi, how am I supposed to pronounce it? Niluangsi is prioritizing a backup solution with a lower end Tiger T618/T610 SoC. The team he works with is still debugging the PCB, but he's kinda lost faith in those people. The model with T1610 is called R1C. The case design is exactly the same with R1. He plans to make the metal cases starting in the next week. He hasn't given up on R1 completely, but wants to make something out first to prove himself. So it looks like the person who was initially making the R1 is now producing the R1C to get something like out to prove himself a little bit. The message does say that he isn't abandoning the R1 completely, and the R1C doesn't seem to be too much off from what the R1 was going to be. So the title is kind of a lie, but I need the clickbait. My last video performed at an 8 out of 10. I need those watch time minutes. Though my analytics have been down like the entirety of last year, so I really don't care. So something you may have missed in the original message because of all the other things covering it up is the SoC being used. And this is important because the Powkiddy X18S is using a T618 SoC. So T610 shouldn't be too far off power-wise. Now it's not going to be as powerful, but work with what we have. This actually does kind of make me more excited for whatever this device is going to be, considering how much the X18S can do when pushed to its limits. So I'm excited to see what I can do with this. If it's seemingly going to be modeled over the RGB10 Max. Let me actually get that. Why is it so rattly? But having a device modeled after this, or seemingly in the same vein of this, considering that this device is going to be using the same shell, would be pretty cool. I mean, this device is pretty comfortable to hold considering how big it is compared to some of the smaller devices. I just wish it was more powerful. What does this use? Okay, so this is a Mali 3.1 GPU, so it's nowhere close to as powerful. And I'm excited to see whatever this thing's going to turn into. Obviously, it won't be as powerful as the X18S is, but I'm sure we could get some really good performance out of like N64. Maybe some low-powered GameCube games. I really don't think that'll be possible, though. And after we remove whatever garbage firmware comes with this device. Who this device is marketed towards is going to depend on how much it costs. So if it's like $85 to $125, it should be more like just the really retro gamer who likes to play NES, SNES, N64 games, like those people. And some higher performance might be possible, but again, we'll have to wait until it releases to see that. But I don't think it'll be able to find a footing if it's anywhere higher than that. Like 125, I think, is still pushing it, considering the Retroid Pocket 2 Plus would be a main competitor to this thing. I think 125 is probably the limit for how much this thing can cost if this like specs are correct. Like if it's lower than the X18S and they make it like 160, that's not going to be worth it, I don't think, because you'll have much greater devices that you're able to get for that price range. Like maybe you could find an X18S on sale or something, I don't know. This thing will probably ship with some form of Android, I hope, but it doesn't really matter all that much because I'll be removing the firmware anyway and replacing it with my own UI and stuff. Every one of these devices comes with some like god-awful firmware that the user has to replace themselves. Like I feel like the RGB10 Max probably is the best one. It came with like an Emuelac firmware that they didn't even pay for, so kind of scummy. I just put Retro OS on this thing. I tried Lineage OS, it wasn't that good. The Powkiddy X18S firmware is garbage. Lineage OS is much nicer to get around, use the settings, try and overclock the device. It's great. I really hope the Odin comes with some type of firmware like that's actually usable. It looks like it's just gonna be using like a nice form of Android, showing some images they've shown us. It's gonna support like Android 12 through a community support thing and Windows 11, so I can always change that if I want. Oh, I forgot. when you download firmware on here, deleted all the ROMs that came with the device, which is good. You shouldn't play games that you don't own. But I mean, for testing out purposes, it is really useful to have just a bunch of games and then just delete them when you're done. That's usually what I do if I ever do any testing, which I plan to do with the Odin. I'm probably going to download like some PS2, PSP games, test them out, and I don't really have interest in any of those games, and I don't own any of those games, so I'm going to delete them afterwards and just stick to the Wii games I own. Wii, GameCube, 3DS, DS, and 64. Those are all games that I own that I'm going to be playing a lot of. And like NES, SNES, obviously through some emulators, and I own them through Switch Online and the Virtual Console on Wii U and 3DS. Those games aren't really that valuable anymore though, so I don't think it really matters. I'm sure whatever was going into the KTR1 is going to be put into the R1C to a lesser extent, since this is going to be a lesser device. But I hope that one day the R1 is made, because what we've been discussing is a lower powered version. So I'd honestly be excited to see a higher powered version, maybe for like a higher price. If you're able to give me like some good GameCube and Wii support, not Wii, Wii's a little difficult, but GameCube support, I'll be first to buy for this channel. Because now whenever I buy devices, it's in the back of my head, it's like, are you gonna cover this? I'm interested to see whatever GPD and Powkiddy have in store for the rest of the year, considering a lower end competitor now seems to be out of the market. Kind of the R1C, I'm not sure when that's releasing. Let me actually Google it to make sure I'm not making this video after it's like launched. Doesn't look like it's launched. I can't find any news on it on Google. I've heard and seen a lot of coverage on the Ineo Next, like Next Advanced and Next Pro. I did reach out to Aya in 2 different ways for a review unit. I'm sure you can put together how well that went. They never responded to me. That's honestly all I really have to say about this device. I hope my Odin ships sooner rather than later. I know they've been putting out the Black Pro models first, because Pros were supposedly like the least popular of these SKUs. So apparently they're up to like 1709 or something like that. I'm like 26, 23, but I hope that a lot of people canceled, or a lot of the people in front of me are bases and pro and lights. We'll just have to wait and see. I hope it ships by Friday, because then I'll get it by like 2 weeks from now. So not next week's video, but like probably soon after that. Whenever that device arrives, I'll be making a video on it the day of, and then uploading it either that same day or the day after. Don't worry about that. I'll get it up as soon as possible. But who knows, honestly. It'll ship when it ships. That's really all I have to say about the device. There's nothing really more to say other than the original SKU seemed to have gotten canceled or just put on the back burner for now in favor for like a lower end option. I guess we'll have to wait and see. If there are any other topics you'd like me to cover that I either missed or like talked about briefly in a video, comment down below and I'll talk about it. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you want to see some like behind the scenes of stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you next time, next week. And yeah, look out for like community posts. I post on the community tab a lot. So you see those posts, give them a like. Thank you. Bye. Subscribe.